State of Play time on first. Welcome Stephanie Hansen of the law firm of Young, Conaway, Stargett and Taylor, and Michael Stafford is also here with us. He's an attorney, columnist, and occasional MSNBC contributor. Next week, Mayor Dennis Williams will face 7 different people to fight for his job, who basically want his job. We're going to have a little fun and role play. If you were Mayor Williams, what would be your policy? The topic next week will be public safety, and I'm going to start with you, Michael Stafford.
My policy, I would get up and I would say the problems of poverty and economic decline and the urban issues we're dealing with transcend the ability of any one mayor or administration to control. I would highlight what I've done. He's had some new initiatives with the police department, but I mean, quite honestly, these are national issues, and certainly Wilmington has become, at least with respect to the murder rate, more violent than other major urban areas. So we can certainly do better. But the poverty that's driving all of this, what's a mayor to do? I mean, you're one guy. You've got a limited budget. So maybe that's why I'm not running for mayor, because I really don't have a solution.
I understand. Fair enough. What about you, Stephanie?
Well, I think personality-wise, he would come out kind of strong, and he would say, look, these problems have been going on for a long time. They didn't start overnight. They didn't start over a period of time. They're not going to get solved over a period of time. You want a mayor that's doing exactly what I'm doing, which is we are trying new initiatives all the time. Some of them are going to work. Some of them aren't going to work. We're on top of things. Now we brought in a consultant who is famous nationally for being able to solve the problems. We got to give this time to work through the system. I think we're going to do it. Just wait till my next crime report comes out. You're going to see I'm on top. I'm always on top.
You actually sound like him.
I know.
No, I'm joking. Okay, so are you guys familiar with some of the other candidates?
In a general way.
Okay, in a general way.
I wouldn't want to speak as any particular person. I mean, I mean, look, there's no magic bullet or policy or policing program or methodology that's gonna cure all of this stuff. If I was one of the challengers, I would focus on trust. I would focus on trust, not a particular, not a particular program, but trust,
okay.
And that trust has been broken between the community and this particular administration, and that can't be healed. That would be my pitch. That whatever else is going on, it's being exacerbated by him and by his continued presence in office, and that for the community to heal and for everybody to move on, these are things that have to happen.
Okay. What do you think a candidate should say in response to if he says, hey, I tried new initiatives and I'm continuing to try? What do you think?
I think what they could say is that, well, we paid over $200,000 as taxpayers. The General Assembly put together a large couple of consultants that came together. They did a large study of what's wrong with Wilmington policing, of how to solve the crime problem, and they came up with a report that had over 100 different initiatives and things that needed to be fixed. The only thing that's been fixed so far has been all the low-hanging fruit, all the cheap stuff, all the easy stuff. Now it's time to do the hard stuff. You want somebody that's not afraid to start doing the hard stuff, and that's going to be me.
Okay, are you running?
I am not
no,
running.
Okay.
No.
Well, let's switch gears and quickly change the topic and talk about the Delaware congressional seat. We know that Byron Scott is gone. He says it's because of money. Are you buying that excuse?
I think it probably is in part due to inability to raise money or to raise it quick enough. And the unfortunate reality is it costs a lot of money to run statewide. And I'll just give you one statistic because I know this as a fact. To do one mailing, one of those little postcard mailings just to Newcastle County, the voters in Newcastle County in a Democratic primary, $24,000. Now multiply that by 3, because you got 3 counties and it's statewide. That's for one postcard mailing. And you've got to do a lot more than one postcard mailing. You've got to do a few things to get your name out in front of people. There's billboards, there's TV, there's radio, there's mailings. All of those things cost money. And if you can't raise the money to get your name out there in front of people, there's no sense in running because you're not going to win.
Yeah. So I guess in this day and age, social media simply isn't enough.
It's not enough. It's an important part of a campaign. It's become every election it becomes more and more important, but you can't run a campaign on just social media. There are a lot of people that vote that aren't on Facebook, and they're not going to be on Facebook. And there's a particular demographic, then I may be even part of that demographic, that proudly proclaims that they are not part of social media. So you have to get to them by more traditional means, and it's a good $500,000 to run a campaign that he's talking about.
You need to build an infrastructure, an organization, and when you look at the other people in the race, I mean, Brian Townsend is an excellent campaigner. And he has a clear constituency here. I mean, he hasn't explicitly positioned himself as kind of the protest candidate, but he is probably to the left on some of the issues as compared to the other two. And then you've got Sean Barney, who has a statewide race. He's done it before. He's got the organization. People know he's got the name recognition.
Let's talk about Sean Barney and Brian Townsend. Who do you think is going to possibly take the seat, or where do you think the race is between those two?
Well, they're both good guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is another situation where we're talking about two people who are well qualified, and we wouldn't have a problem with any of them. We're also, remember, we're not talking about Lisa Blunt Bradley. She's also, I think she's still in the race, but we're,
Who?
I know.
Right. Oh.
I mean, it's she's in the race, you're right, but where's the presence?
Yeah.
At all. I mean, if you're going to be a candidate, you can't fly under the radar when you've got a primary to win.
I think Brian Townsend is a relentless, effective, efficient campaigner. He has got that down, and he loves it. It's going to be really hard for Sean to kind of overcome his momentum in doing that.
Okay. Well, real quick, finally, Republicans Deborah Hudson and Colin Bonini have introduced a bill requiring the Delaware Homeland Security Office be notified if a refugee comes to live in Delaware and is from a country that supports terrorism. They say the law is necessary because of Governor Markell's stance on Syrian refugees. What's your response?
Obscene. It's political grandstanding, stigmatizing a class of people who are already vulnerable, playing to people's fears, irrational fears. How many of the 9/11 attackers were Syrians? How many of them would have needed to be registered? Most of them were Saudis and Egyptians, two of our allies. How many of the Paris and the Brussels attackers were refugees? It's playing on people's fears, and it really is stigmatizing people who, are being driven out of their homes and are moving to the other end of the world.
Okay. And what are you going to do with the list? Like what happens with that list? Is, when they go to get a driver's license, are they going to need to check on the list? Are you on the list? When they go to register the kids for school, are they going to be on the list? What are you going to use the list for? And is the use of the list really going to help in pinpointing those things that are signaling these people are radicalized?
Yeah.
I don't. There's a lot of questions about it. I totally agree with Mike. It's grandstanding.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks so much, Stephanie Hansen, Michael Stafford, for being a part of State of Play. For those of you at home, you can watch all of this at newsworks.org/Delaware.